people going to think of our new buttermilk crispy chicken? Let's find out.
It's probably the best sandwich I've ever had.
It's super crispy, but it's also really juicy.
So would you guys come back? Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, here's our card. The location is on the back. It's McDonald's? What? What?
Oh, get out
No way.
Wait, seriously?
Try some buttermilk crispy chicken. It's right around the corner at McDonald's. Buttermilk.
It's Brad Atwell back with Coach Jeff Griffith on Ask the Coach here on WCOU Sports. I want to remind you that after the show, if you'll join us for our McDonald's podcast with game film, it'll be up right after the show. We want to thank McDonald's of Glasgow. And just a note, the game film probably will not be up until tomorrow with the podcast, but the podcast will be available after the show today. Coach, going back just a little bit, I mean, we've talked defensively. Just want to go back defensively again. Bowen and Sneed have pretty much been our leading tacklers on the season. Last night, each one of them contributed about 9 tackles apiece. Of course, these are unofficial. We'll get the official ones later, but still, pretty good. And then, across the board, everybody was involved on defense. It wasn't like I'm just sitting back waiting. There was quite a few times that, I know that I saw, kind of get a runner bottled up somewhere, and here we come 6 or 7 burgundy helmets at them, and that has to be encouraging as a coach to see that, hey, these boys are not standing back waiting; they're coming to the football.
Well, that's the way you got to play defense, first of all, but especially against a team like Bowling Green. When you play these spread teams, I mean, you've got to be able to tackle in one-on-one situations, and that's kind of the reasons we made the moves we have in terms of moving Zach, the linebacker, and Grant Bowen to our strong safety position. And and last night we threw Kyle Roach in at corner. He's a guy that started due to injury at outside linebacker in our scrimmage going all the way back to when we scrimmaged Louisville Butler, and did a good job, and really hasn't played a whole lot since then. And I told him, I said, you played well enough, you deserve to play somewhere. And so I just threw him in at corner this week, and he had a good week of preparation, and really he held the fort down and did a pretty good job last night. And he's a guy that's one of our more athletic guys, so again that gets it. And he's a bigger body guy out there at corner, and went in last night and did a pretty good job, and especially for his first game. I don't know if he's ever played corner before, but it's the first time he's played it this year, and played it against a pretty good team in a spread offense. So Kyle did a good job and did a good job tackling last night, and I just think we got an opportunity to build on this and finish the year off here, and hopefully we can do that.
We've talked a lot about defense. Offensively, we moved the football last night. I mean, it was not one of those things. We talked a little bit earlier about kind of what happened, but Sneed again last night had over 100 yards. Hughes rushed for over for 62 yards last night. One thing against a team as athletic as what Bowling Green is, it's hard to get that passing game going, because they have always got guys in that secondary that are as good or better and more athletic, and it's not where they just got 1 or 2 guys. They've got 4 or 5 guys back there, and just the type of defense that they play, it's hard to find those openings, those soft spots in the passing game. But we had success rushing the football, and with that goes back to what I talked about earlier. You cannot afford when you're getting those 4, 5, 6 yards at a time. You cannot afford that 5-yard penalty. And of course, again last night, we weren't plagued with penalties. We had 3 penalties for 35 yards. So that goes to tell you that the penalties we did get were detrimental. I think we had 2 10-yard penalties, and then we had a 15-yarder after one of those plays. Well, we got to keep our first down, but it backed us up 15.
Well, the thing about when you play Bowling Green, for the most part, teams like us that are playing a smash mouth style of play, that we're going to be content getting 5 yards a clip. But we've talked about this, I think, earlier in the year, and sometimes you need to get an easy score, and man, it's hard to get against an easy score against teams that have great team speed, and that's what they have. They have really good team speed, especially on their back end. And if we do break something up front, the same thing we've talked about, with our team defensively. You want those things to be 10 or 12 yard gains instead of 70-yard touchdown runs or something, and that's what team speed will do for you. It will help you get those things down when they do break, and of course they've do a great job with that. But offensively, I thought that we were physical last night up front. I thought Zach and Andrew ran the ball physical, and were physical running the ball and moved the chains. But it's hard to put together 70, 80-yard drives doing that, because like you said, you have one play where you slip and fall, or you get a penalty, and then you're behind the sticks, and we're an on-schedule team, so to speak, and if we're not 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2, then we're going to struggle sometimes. And we had a lot of those last night, and we put together some good drives. But when we got behind the chains and where we had to throw it, and they knew we were going to throw it, and that's when they can kind of sit on you and make your life miserable in the passing game. And and we're not there yet in our passing game and some stuff. But we're going to continue to work on it and get better. But offensively, I thought we did some good things in terms of being physical and running it. But ultimately we scored 7 points, and that's not going to win a lot of football games.
Over the last few weeks, of course, we talked about Ellis back earlier in the year. Ellis is just an exceptional kid and can absolutely play anywhere you put him on the field. I believe if you went to Ellis, well, I know you have, and you've already done it this year, and said, Ellis, we need you to play a defensive lineman. And Ellis is going to line up. He's going to give you 110%. And Ellis has played everywhere on the field. And no matter where you put him, he's there doing his job, and he's making sure that he's not going to hurt you. And I mean, just an exceptional player, somebody that you can move around and just use as a utility guy.
Well, you're talking about it. We've talked about moving Zach Sneed to inside and Grant to our strong safety position, but we've also moved Ellis to an outside linebacker position, and he's really solidified us out there and done a great job. And and last night, and he's smart as can be, and there were a lot of just checks depending on the formations that they would come out in, and sometimes he would have to play some zone coverage, and if it was another formation, he was going to man up their receiver and do some things. And needless to say, it's not fun to man up Bowling Green slot receivers when it's Yates and Carruthers and Wilson and those guys. And and he competes, and he's smart. And like I said, we've said it all year. We could put him anywhere, and he's going to be a good football player. And he's really, the last couple of games since we've made these moves defensively, personnel wise, he's as big a part of some of the things that we've done defensively to make us a little better as anybody.
I was going to say, he would even play offensive line, but he has. He's been lining up out there at that tight end position, and so just a great asset to have on your team. Zach Sneed, we've talked about Sneed. He, coming back up to that linebacker position, seeing more him and Ellis on both sides of the football. It's getting a little cooler outside. It's a little easier to play on both sides of that ball than it is back when it's when we start to play and it's 80 degrees outside. It's not as hard on these guys, but just to see the fight in them. Zach Sneed was still running as hard last night in the fourth quarter. We're down 40 points. He's still competing as hard as he was on the first drive of the game. Ellis, same way. Both of them still doing what they need to do on defense. Both of them out there still competing on offense. That's good to know that you got guys that are still going to compete, and that breeds to those other guys on the field as well, of just, hey, I'm not going to quit, and you don't need to quit either. We're going to keep battling. I
don't think at any time last night we quit playing. I thought we played with effort last night. Again, sometimes, especially during the second half, we didn't play smart. But I thought we were competitive last night for 4 quarters for the most part, and did a good job with that. And it's nice to see, a lot of, as you said, the weather's getting a little cooler, and some of these guys can play a little more both ways, and certainly that's what we're doing with Zach. And the reason that I left Zach in the game last night, because our coaching staff was saying, maybe we need to get him out. We don't want to get him hurt, and certainly we don't want him to get hurt in a fourth quarter of the game, 48-7. But this is really just the second game that he has played, where he's played almost every snap of offense and defense. And the first time was 2 weeks ago when we played at Greenwood. Then we've had an open date. So, we've got 2 games left that we need to win and get after it a little bit. And I told her, I said, I don't want him to get hurt, and I don't want any of our kids got hurt, but we've got to get these guys in shape so they can be ready to go these last 2 weeks and get him used to doing that. And that's why I left Zach and Allison, some of those guys, in at that point in the fourth quarter last night, because they've got to get used to playing both ways, because they haven't done it all year. And even though the weather's cooled off, it's still a challenge, because especially as the running back, playing running back and linebacker is not an easy task, because on both sides of the ball there's contact every play, and of course at running back you're running for your life half the time. So that's why we did that. But both of those guys have handled that, and we're going to continue to do it, and hopefully we'll be in a little better shape and get ready to go here the last 2 weeks.
All right. Well, we're going to take another break here on Ask the Coach with Coach Jeff Griffith, the head coach of the Barron County Trojans. And you stay tuned, and we'll be back after these messages.